In the early hours of an ordinary Friday morning, Clondalkin, a tranquil suburb in Dublin, was thrust into a nightmare. Flames erupted from a family home, trapping a woman upstairs. In a daring rescue, 2 officers scaled a ladder, plunging into the inferno through a rear window. Their efforts saved the woman, while 3 other occupants of the house escaped unhurt. Yet the aftermath revealed a sinister truth that sent shockwaves through the city. It was no random fire. It was a calculated attack orchestrated by shadowy associates of Peader Keating, a prominent Kinahan cartel thug. They allegedly petrol-bombed the innocent family's home due to ties with thug James Nellie Walsh. Walsh has been in a bloody feud with Keating since 2012, after Walsh's gang was accused of trying to muscle in on the drugs trade in West Dublin. The feud has spiraled out of control, leading to 4 murders, including innocent lad Dean Johnson, who was mistakenly killed in 2013 by cartel hitman Glenn Clark when he was targeting Walsh. In a twisted game of revenge, Walsh had previously posted a video on social media threatening Keating, who is currently serving time in Portlaoise prison for directing the activities of a criminal gang in a plot to murder Hutch associate James Mago Gately back in 2017. Walsh, having narrowly escaped 2 attempts on his life, accused Keating and his organization of being rats, a dangerous charge in the underworld. In the aftermath of Walsh's threat, Keating's allies wasted no time and targeted the innocent family, demonstrating their ruthless resolve. Behind prison walls, Keating is suspected of orchestrating the arson attack, apparently still capable of pulling the strings of destruction. Back in 2012, a part of the formidable Kinahan cartel network took shape under Keating's control. He ran the area of West Dublin as Thomas Bomber Kavanagh's right-hand man. While Keating operated somewhat under the radar in the criminal reels, he wielded significant influence, masterminding Clondalkin's lucrative drugs trade. At the same time, the Kinahan cartel, reeling from the setbacks of Operation Shovel, was rekindling its power. They set up shop at the Costa del Sol where Daniel Kinahan had just opened his boxing gym. The Kinahans were back in business and had become extremely powerful, controlling up to 90% of the drug trade in Ireland, while Bomber Kavanagh was based in Birmingham, establishing himself as the #1 Kinahan man in the UK. Keating was the head honcho in Clondalkin, a valuable drugs turf. This partnership, fueled by Keating's expertise not just in drug distribution but also in money laundering, solidified their dominance. In the relentless storm of the Kinahan-Hutch feud, Keating emerged as Bomber's most trusted lieutenant. Keating's role extended far beyond the surface. He was a fixer, the one tasked with orchestrating clandestine operations, from the movement of weapons to gathering critical intelligence. He was the orchestrator behind the scenes, expertly procuring the tools needed to execute their sinister plans. Keating adeptly navigated the shadows, always eluding the watchful eyes of law enforcement. He was suspected of enlisting his mate Glenn Clark, a notorious gun for hire, to carry out paid assassinations on behalf of the Kinahan cartel. Clark, a preferred hitman for the Byrne organization, however, met a grim end, discovered lifeless in a car with a fatal gunshot wound in the head. Dismissed as an accidental death, authorities later realized Clark's true identity, a seasoned hitman with a very poor track record, including several mistaken murders. Disturbing theories arose, suggesting his death may have been retribution for his botched assignments. Yet the truth remained elusive, as Clark's body was already cremated and further investigation was impossible. Following the chaos of the Regency shooting, Daniel Kinahan and Bomber Kavanagh hungered for vengeance and set their sights on a formidable target, Hutch associate James Mago Gately. This time they weren't willing to leave anything to chance. They entrusted their deadly mission to their most skilled operatives. Bomber enlisted the expertise of Peader Keating, normally not involved in hands-on operations, while Daniel called upon Douglas Glynn, the Kinahan's main man in Dublin. Keating, who played a more hands-on role this time, drove the car that was used up north, fitting it with trackers. Alongside him, hitman Imre Arakas was flown in from Estonia, a deadly enforcer, unaware he was already under scrutiny. In a twist of fate, the 2017 assassination plot unraveled spectacularly, catching them all in the act. Arakas was apprehended, and a crucial weapon was seized, shattering their plans. When the case came before the Special Criminal Court, Keating pled guilty, admitting to orchestrating the criminal gang's activities in the botched hit. Sentenced to 11 years, Keating now wields influence from within the confines of Portlaoise prison, calling the shots at one of the landings. While there's no concrete proof linking him to the recent arson attack, the chilling possibility looms large. Keating might have orchestrated it discreetly from behind bars, showing his sinister reach, even in captivity. It's not the first time Keating is suspected of targeting Walsh. In 2013, his associate Glenn Clark's hit on Walsh went awry, claiming an innocent life instead. Then in 2022, whispers of Keating orchestrating a machine gun attack on Walsh emerged from his prison cell. Miraculously, Walsh narrowly escaped death twice that year, first in Donoughmore Crescent in October, and then again on the brink of Christmas in the menacing alleys of Carlo. Up until last year, Keating held a seemingly mundane job in the prison kitchen. However, beneath the surface, the kitchen served as a notorious gateway for drugs streaming into Port Leach prison. Suspicions arose pointing fingers at Keating and other Kinahan cartel-linked inmates. When 8 inmates fell victim to overdoses, Keating's dismissal became inevitable. Within the prison walls, Keating's influence is unparalleled. He reigns supreme over the Kinahan faction in C Block, his power bolstered by the support of David Duffy, serving time for his involvement in the Gately hit. When Keating was sacked from his prison job, the prison management treaded carefully, fearing a backlash from the prison population. Keating's reputation as a significant player in the prison hierarchy made it a high-stakes affair. The pursuit of Keating's criminal network continues to this day. In recent months, cab raids have targeted his network, which is still based in the Clondalkin area. Keating is now a prime target for the UK's National Crime Agency, as part of new charges brought against Bomber Kavanagh, his son Jack, and Liam Byrne, who is currently fighting extradition in Spain. Currently behind bars, Bomber is serving a hefty 21-year sentence for orchestrating a staggering €36 million drug smuggling operation. This high-stakes case revolves around the seizure of deadly automatic weapons and ammunition, unearthing 9 alleged offences that unfolded between January 9, 2020 and June 3, 2021. In a UK courtroom, a startling revelation was made. Kavanagh and his gang aided officers in uncovering a cache of 11 guns hidden in Newry, in an attempt to reduce Kavanagh's prison sentence. However, officers double-crossed the gang and seized the guns before bringing further charges against the wider group. Keating has been implicated in this bizarre case, which has backfired on Kavanagh. He was recently brought before the High Court in Dublin for an extradition hearing, accused of conspiring to possess firearms and helping jailed Kavanagh beat a gun rap. Ireland is now pushing to extradite the 42-year-old, ensuring he faces the consequences of the alleged plot to aid Kavanagh. In a shocking twist of loyalty, Keating, once a steadfast lieutenant of Bomber Kavanagh, running his drugs and weapons, has now labelled his former boss as a rat. According to insider accounts, Keating is ablaze with anger, convinced that Kavanagh has double-crossed him by cooperating with the police. Decades of unwavering loyalty have evaporated, and now Keating is passionately broadcasting Kavanagh's betrayal to anyone who'll listen. He's furious as he now faces completing his Irish sentence in a UK prison, where he'll also have to face court on gun charges. James Nellie Walsh, a notorious Irish gangster, is currently the most under-threat man in Ireland. He's on the run, but not from law enforcement. It's his fellow gangsters who are relentlessly pursuing him. A staggering €200,000 reward hangs over his head, turning him into a prime target. Gardaí, recognizing the imminent danger, have issued him a GIM form, a formal alert given when independent intelligence indicates someone's life is in jeopardy. This raises the question, who exactly is this significant criminal figure, and how has a decade-long feud escalated into a series of heinous crimes, including murder, arson, and even digital warfare on platforms like TikTok? Originally from Dublin's Ronanstown area, Walsh has been involved in criminal activities since his teenage years. By 2012, he had become a prominent figure in the West Dublin crime scene, embroiled in a bitter feud with the Clondalkin gang, closely linked to the Kinahan Cartel. Regarded as one of the key players of the Irish criminal underworld, he and his associates have been implicated in multiple murders. Unlike many of his fellow gangsters, Walsh revels in the limelight, frequently posting pictures on social media, holding guns, donning balaclavas, and issuing threats to his rivals. His criminal focus primarily revolves around high-level drug dealing in collaboration with his associates. With a significant list of prior convictions, Walsh has spent considerable time incarcerated. His most serious conviction involves a 10-year sentence for a failed assassination attempt on a gangland target, Michael Fraser, back in 2014. Fraser was believed to be associated with Kinahan-affiliated criminal Fat Freddie Thompson. Walsh was hired as a hitman for this operation, which unfolded in a Clondalkin church car park, where he shot Fraser multiple times. Although Fraser suffered very serious injuries to his upper body, he managed to drive himself to a Garda station, where he got help and ended up making a full recovery. During that shooting incident, Walsh's recklessness reached new heights as he accidentally shot himself in the leg. Ironically, this blunder inadvertently aided the Garda investigation, ultimately leading to his conviction. Interestingly, Walsh had been a part of Fraser's own circle of associates. He was enlisted by Fraser's former gang associates in the Crumlin area. Walsh first gained significant attention around 2011, when his associates were suspected of killing a man named Dean Johnson. It's important to note that this Dean Johnson is different from the 21-year-old who tragically lost his life due to mistaken identity 2 years later. Initially, Gardaí believed these two cases were unrelated, but eventually, bizarre links between them emerged. In 2011, 20-year-old Dean Johnson was fatally shot while sitting in a car near his Clondalkin home, and Walsh's associates were suspected to be involved. Then, in 2013, the 21-year-old Dean Johnson was shot in the same area. However, Walsh was the intended target this time. Remarkably, the car used in the 2013 murder was found burned out just a few hundred yards away from where the other Dean Johnson had lost his life 2 years earlier. Then, in September 2012, a chilling gangland murder unfolded in Port Arlington, County Laois. Gerard Eglinton, a criminal linked to gangster Brian Rattigan, was shot in front of his stepdaughter and 3-year-old son. Once again, Walsh's associates were suspected to be involved in this ruthless act. They had earned a menacing reputation as guns for hire, notorious for their reckless violence, escalating situations over seemingly trivial rows, such as the 2011 murder of Johnson. Eglinton's murder marked a turning point, propelling Walsh into infamy. His notoriety skyrocketed due to a significant clash with another criminal gang in the Clondalkin area, affiliated with the notorious Kinahan Cartel and headed by notorious criminal Peader Keating. This confrontation sparked a feud, later dubbed the Clondalkin Feud, which claimed the lives of 4 individuals. The tragic saga starts with the innocent Dean Johnson shooting in 2013. One fateful Friday night, Johnson coincidentally found himself in the same pub as Walsh, who was under a severe threat during that time. For some reason, the two men swapped jackets that evening. As Johnson left the pub, he was mistaken for Nellie due to his jacket. On his way home, a car pulled up, and 2 gunmen, among them Kinahan hitman Glenn Clark, emerged. Johnson fell victim to multiple gunshots. As he lay on the ground, he was ruthlessly shot in the head. He was rushed to Tala Hospital, but was later declared dead. Despite numerous arrests, this murder remains unresolved. Within a week, 39-year-old Clondalkin criminal Jason J. Carroll was shot dead at his home in revenge. Despite having limited criminal convictions, sources suggest he was involved in money laundering for the Kinahan Cartel. Carroll was a very close friend of Daniel Kinahan, and his sister is the long-term partner of Kinahan key member Peader Keating. Carroll is considered to have been a main player in the anti-Nellie Walsh faction, and Walsh blamed him for masterminding that botched hit a week earlier, leading to Johnson's death. 4 long years passed before the next tragic chapter unfolded in this ongoing feud. In 2017, Dara Nugent, a close associate of Walsh, was fatally shot outside his home on Wheatfield Avenue in Clondalkin. At that time, Nugent was on bail for weapons charges, while Gardaí were preparing to charge him with the murder of Gerard Eglinton back in 2012. Nugent was considered a serious criminal who had been involved in several gangland murders. During this period, Walsh was behind bars serving that 10-year sentence for the attempted murder of car dealer Michael Fraser. While in jail, he was assaulted a number of times by people connected to his enemies, and he had a lot of those. He was released in July 2022. A mere week after Nugent's shooting, another grim incident unfolded. John Gibson, a close associate of Walsh and a friend of Nugent, was shot dead at City West Shopping Centre in Saggart. Gibson was suspected to be deeply involved in significant drug-related activities with major criminals. Both hits, the one on Nugent and on Gibson, are believed to be orchestrated by associates of J. Carroll, who had strong ties to the Kinahan Cartel. The motive behind these killings was clear. Both Nugent and Gibson were targeted due to their connections with Walsh. marking them as prime targets for the Clondalkin gang. This particular Clondalkin gang, considered a dangerous subcell of the Kinahan cartel, has Peader Keating as one of its key figures. Keating is currently serving a lengthy prison sentence for his role in the failed assassination attempt on Hutch associate James Mago Gately. However, he seems to hold significant sway, even from behind bars. The roots of the decade-long feud between Walsh and Peader Keating are deeply personal. Keating holds Walsh's faction responsible for the 2013 murder of his brother-in-law, J. Carroll. And even though Keating is locked up, he is believed to still be in a position to give orders to associates on the outside. Currently, Walsh finds himself in the perilous position of being one of Ireland's most under-threat criminals, with a staggering €200,000 bounty placed on his head by fellow gangsters, underscoring the gravity of his situation. In 2022, Walsh narrowly escaped two very serious attempts on his life. The first occurred in October when assailants fired a machine gun at him. Deceptively lured into a housing estate in Tala under the guise of a drug deal, Walsh miraculously emerged with only minor injuries. Following the machine gun attack, Walsh fled Dublin, seeking refuge in County Wexford. However, even in this new location, danger continued to shadow him. During a trip to Carlo to purchase a car, he was ambushed by armed individuals. Incredibly, he managed to escape unscathed, although the potential for harm to innocent bystanders was alarmingly high. Bullets from the attack even pierced a nearby house, highlighting the precariousness of the situation. Despite these close calls, Walsh displays an unsettling bravado. While residing in Wexford, he brazenly flaunted his status as a target, going to pubs wearing a bulletproof vest and boasting about surviving machine gun attacks. His audacious behavior left Gardaí baffled. Recently, Walsh posted videos on TikTok where he openly named his rivals, including Peader Keating, and branded them as rats. This video likely triggered an arson attack on a house in Clondalkin. Gardaí suspect this calculated attack was planned by associates of Peader Keating. Allegedly, they firebombed the home of the innocent family simply because of their connections with Walsh. Amidst the escalating danger, Walsh remains in hiding, reportedly staying at various locations. Recent information suggests he has taken refuge in a town in County Kildare, associating with local criminals. Consequently, there has been a surge in armed patrols in that specific area. That was it for today's video. What are your thoughts on today's topic? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see our next videos.